Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and this is the third installment on our series on how to do soutache bead embroidery, going over some basic steps. And in this series, we're going to make this earring from start to finish. In the first two segments, we learned how to add a bead, how to start our soutache, make shaping stitches around the outside so that it goes ahead and lays tight against the bead, and then we learned how to make a two-sided join. This whole time we've been using our same needle and thread. We haven't tied any actual knots. And now with our thread exiting to the left of our main bead, our center bead, I'm going to show you how to add another bead, which is going to be making your first side swirl, and then I'm going to show you how to end your stack so that we can make the first half of this earring. So to do that, we want to grab another bead, and I'm going to use this little 4mm bead right here. Go ahead and slide it down so it rests right up against where your two-sided join was. Separate out your soutache cords so you have 3 on one side and 3 on another side. As you do more soutache, there's a lot of different options you can do. You can separate them out any which way you like, add beads in between. But for this basic one, I want you to keep your 3 together on each side. Now go ahead and just wrap them around that little bead and take note where the hole is in relation to where the threads are. So right there is where we want to place our needle, going through all 3 of our soutache braids, coming out the center where that little groove is on the outer one, or what we are going to turn into the outer one, which was the inner one before. Okay, go ahead and pull that. So you've made your first bend, and now we need to make a couple shaping stitches before we can pull all of these cords to the back side and tie them off. So remember to make a shaping stitch. We're going to go on the outside, down through all 3 of them, again coming out that middle core. You always want to stay in the middle. It's going to hide your stitches. It's also going to make it so that it's more stable. We're going to go up, and one more outside shaping stitch before we pull this to the back side. So now those are going to be held together, much more so than up here you can see. So now what I want you to do is I want you to actually take your cords and pull them to the back side, like so. Now, holding them in place where you want them, go ahead and take your needle and actually go ahead and put it through your cords to the front side of your work. Insert your needle back down through your work, now going from the front to the back, and go ahead and try to get your needle as close to your exit point as possible because you don't want your threads to show, and go all the way through. And now you've come back up. Make sure your cords are still how you want them. They've got that nice swirl to them. And go back down, but make sure you go back down through one that has not been tacked down already. And again, go from the back to the front, all the way through, and pull. Find where you exited. So when I say exited, I mean where your thread is coming out the front. And try to insert your needle again as close to your exit point as possible, and go back all the way through. You are literally sewing this in place. And you can see you don't really see my threads because I am going back through as close to that exit point as possible. Now I want to go ahead, go through, make sure I go through that final one. I'm going to cover the back side, so I'm not all that concerned about what the back is going to look like. I don't want it lumpy, but does not have to be pretty. Okay, and I'm going to do one more for good measure. So this is what we've got so far, and this is what it looks like on the back. So now go ahead, we're going to whip stitch around our cords. So I'm just taking my needle, placing it between the cords and my finished piece. Pulling it up, catching it there, and now I'm going to actually start to go through my cords and whip stitch it in place. I'm trying to do it fairly close up because I'm going to have to trim all these cords here in a few minutes, and I don't want my whip stitches out here. We've whip stitched that a couple times. Now we need to trim our cords. You don't want to trim them too close to your stitching because they are going to fray. I do about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less actually. All right, now here's a little tip. Because they are going to fray so much, I'm going to actually trim them up just a little bit more. And now I'm going to tack them down. And I'm going to do that just by stitching through them, holding them down, but then I'm actually going to take my needle and do the same process of going front to back. And you're going to glue your foundation in place, so you will glue those down as well. But I just don't want them getting in my way because I'm going to have to do this other side as well. After this one, I feel like those are nice and secure. They're not going to go anywhere. Now what I need to do is I need to make sure that my needle exits right here going in this direction so that I can mimic this same technique on the other side. So to do that, simply go through your work and just make it so that your needle exits where you want. Might have to fish around a few times before you get used to this. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to pick up another bead, and I'm going to do this off camera because it's the exact same technique as the other side. You take that bead, you again wrap it around, you do your shaping stitches, and you tie it off in the same exact manner as you did on this back of this one. So go ahead and do that, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to make a bridge with some little beads right here, which is going to add a decorative element, and it's also going to help to secure your join as well. So that's what we'll do in part 4 of this series on soutache.